Come on in, come on in, come on in, come on in. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. Come on in. Happy Saturday to everybody, man. Listen, it's good to be here. It's good to be alive. Listen, this is the day that the Lord has made. We will be glad and rejoice in it. How's everybody doing? It's straight up go time. Listen, we want to talk about USC versus LSU. This is a matchup that's getting ready to take place, and we're now talking about. Hey, salute to everybody, man. Hey, David, how you doing? How you doing? Uh, what's up, big dog? Salute to you. Hey, listen, we are getting ready in 50 days, approximately 50 days, to get ready to see a big time matchup. You guys know this is what I call the fan edition. I got a couple of fans that I'm connected with on Instagram, Twitter, all of it. And I'm going to be sending the link around. I'm not going to send it in this chat because too many people would try to get on. But this is an opportunity that we're going to let the fans, those who are connected with me on Instagram and Twitter, you guys can message me if you guys have a desire. I told you we're gonna have a fans edition, and it started last week actually, and we're gonna continue it today. Those who are connected, those who have a desire to get on and speak their piece about USC football, really about the LSU game, we're gonna start getting into that stuff, and I'm gonna continue this at least once a week. I want to try to do that. That is the goal, once a week, and I will try to get the phone lines going after the games and have everybody call in. But until then, I want to try to have at least 3 fans. You guys know, you guys see my face on a regular base, but I don't know who you guys are. So we're going to try to get this thing up, continue to move and groove, and that's how we're going to go with it. So now, as we look at this USC versus LSU game, it's going to be straight up go time. This is a big time game, and these teams are very, very similar. Both coaching staff had to replace the defensive coordinator. You guys know that. And both defenses were pretty much lost in the sauce last year. You guys know probably USC was probably, I would say, a little bit more lost in the sauce. But, hey, we did what we did. Lincoln Riley did his due diligence. He hired a new staff. And, of course, you guys know Doug Belk, Matt Ince, Deanton Lynn, defensive coordinator, Eric Henderson. All of these guys, of course, the great Sean Newer, all of these guys are now revamping this defense, and they got a job on their hand. They got a task on their hand. And the first task, like we said, it's going to be in 50 days. Look, these guys are getting ready to practice. I put a post up on my Instagram with Jamil Muhammad. He posted something today. I put it back on my story because, look, it is absolutely go time. He put a picture of, with his uniform on. And look, everybody could sense the time. Everybody could sense you can sense football in the air. When you start smelling that grass, you guys know how the grass smells. The grass smells different once football season gets ready to on and popping. I smell the grass already. Listen, I ran this morning, got my workout on. I was out there on the track. I could smell the grass, and it's straight up go time. I'm ready to get it popping. I'm ready to get it cracking. And I think the USC fans have a lot to be thankful for and a lot to be happy about. So as we move on to this game, I'm still waiting for a couple of people to come on, a couple of fans that I've already invited. As we look at this game, you're talking about the matchup, and LSU, just like USC, had to replace their defensive coordinator. And someone sent me something. I believe they got a defensive line coach that came from Texas, but they got a defensive coordinator. If I'm not mistaken, somebody sent it to me. I can't remember, but he was Miami's defensive coordinator, if I'm not mistaken, under what's the coach name? The coach that coached at Miami back then. He was the Penn State defensive coordinator last year. Just took the Duke job. The name slide. I know who he is. Manny Diaz. Manny Diaz was the defensive the head coach at Miami, and apparently the LSU current defensive coordinator is their new DC. So that can kind of tell you where they are with that as it relates to the defensive coordinator spot. There, I don't think they have the best of the best defensive coordinator, but I don't think he's just terrible either. But everybody's going to have to revamp this defense. The LSU, they got a couple of, I think they got a linebackers, a couple of guys that are coming back. So I want to take a look at some of these guys, match these guys up with USC. How does this really fare out? And I got some PFF numbers for those guys and as well as our guys. And we're going to match them up position by position and we're going to kind of just discuss that real quick and see exactly what's taking place as far as the USC football Trojans. And so when you look at LSU and USC, and we can go by position, I think some favor USC, and I think some favor LSU. Now, I will say this: there is some positions, like I stated, favor USC and some favor LSU. Let me move on and get this information real quick. So when we look at the defensive line, I think the defensive line is going to be, and this is going to be part one. We're just scratching the surface. This is going to be a soft covering of USC versus LSU. This is going to be, I got a guy coming on right now. This is one of the fans. So this is going to be a soft version of USC versus you. Hey, Anthony Butler, what's the word?
What's going on, Big J? How you doing, man?
How you doing, man?
I'm ready for this season, man. Just ready to shut all the naysayers up and really show what our team can do. Now we revamped the entire defensive staff, and Benny Wiley has them boys looking Big Ten ready. So.
Absolutely, man. Those who are just coming on, I told you guys that I'm getting ready to start. I haven't even came up and settled on a name. I thought about the fan forums. I'm gonna do it on Saturdays, whatever name I come up with, but it's going to be on Saturdays, and this is going to allow the opportunity for each fan to come on, just kind of talk football. You guys know I'm just a fan who started a YouTube channel, and I'm just as regular as you guys. And so as a result, we're just going to kind of discuss this, allow you guys to come on. And, I can only do, just given the show length of time, I can only go maybe 2 or 3 at a time. So we're going to kind of do that. This is Anthony on. We got one more supposed to be coming on. But Anthony, man, when you look at this, I was just getting ready to go over the numbers as far as USC versus LSU. I got some PFF numbers, but I want to hear from you. What's your initial thoughts, man, when you think of this matchup, man, and how do you think this thing really matches up?
Well, I think both teams are really similar in some of our struggles and some of our strengths. They had, like you stated, they had to revamp their defensive staff, just like we did. I think as far as we still have a better wide receiver core, and I trust our quarterback to the fullest. And I think you and I were talking yesterday. I've been watching some of the highlights from this past season.
Yeah.
And we got burnt so many times in the secondary because our guys were just out of place.
Right.
There's just so much distance in between the opposing team's receivers and, our defensive backs. And I don't see Doug Belk allowing that kind of out of place play to stand. And I think if we would have had better, our guys in place, a better scheme, we wouldn't have got burnt like that. And I think we will be able to take advantage of that, especially with DeCarlos Nicholson, Greedy Vance. We're going to handle them.
Absolutely. I totally agree with you. And to your point, I think that our strength is actually going to be the secondary. And as you stated, Doug Belk and Deontay Lynn, I think all those guys, DeAnthony Nicholson, Kamari Ramsey, Greedy Vance, these guys, and of course the Arnold brother. I think the secondary is going to be the absolute strength. Everybody says that's going to be our strength. And so when you look at this matchup, I really believe that if USC can get more stops, at least a couple of stops, I believe that USC will be okay in this game. And you guys know I did a video yesterday about Carlon Jones, so I kind of feel like the defensive line is going to be a lot better than what a lot of people think. And so that's the matchup. So I'm going to go by position group. When you look at the defensive line, their guys, when we match them up, PFF grades. They got a Savanion Jones. He's 68.5, his PFF grade. And then their next guy is going to be Jacobian Gallery, 69. He has a 69. And then Gio Paz, they got some names over here. He has a 66.7. And then Braden Swansea, he has the highest grade, which is an 81. But if you look at our PF grades, I only got a couple of guys. But you look at Jamel Muhammad, he's at a 66.9. Nate Clifton at a 65.8.
That's criminal. That really is criminal because Nate Clifton was a starter at at Vanderbilt, which I mean, we
Yeah,
know it's not a powerhouse, it's still SEC. He was a
yeah,
captain on there. Like,
yeah,
that's
yeah.
criminal.
Well, I think the PFF grades. I think they actually go off production. I believe they go off production, actual production. So I guess we kind of got to go with those numbers. But and then Bear Alexander is 64.2, and then Anthony Lucas, he's at 60.4. So numbers wise, our numbers don't look particularly all that well. But I feel like things are going to be a little bit different. I think that of course you guys know we're gonna miss Solomon Bird, who was an absolute contributor. He probably was the superstar of the defensive line last year. Tooley the year before, and of course you guys know Solomon Bird got drafted. So when you look at the defensive line matchup, man, what's your thoughts? I mean, the numbers are not just great on either side right now.
Yeah. I mean, aside from Bear, like, I don't really see any like superstar for either team. But I think I'm really hoping that Bear can have that cohesion with, either Carlon Jones playing nose tackle or Kobe Pepe playing nose tackle, and we can get those big bodies. Like, I really wanted to see last year Kyron Bars and Bear in more schemes, and it just didn't ever seem like they lined up, and we just got ate up. We just got gashed through the middle, and a lot of times they weren't running to the outside when they were getting run yards on us. They were just going strip the middle. Like, I really hope that we can have, that Big Ten style of defensive line cohesion. You look at Michigan; they got Mason Graham and who's the other big boys right next to him. I mean, you got two
Yeah,
walls next to each
yeah.
other. So hopefully we can create that cohesion, uh, and they can play off each other, so we can play that way, and we can stop, that Big Ten run.
Absolutely. And so when you look at that, I think advantage is going to be when I listened to Eric Henderson the other day, advantage is going to be USC, man. I totally agree with you. The fact that, he talked about the technique that he's going to be teaching. He talked about how he's able to do that and what he possesses as a coach. It's going to spill out on the field. And you guys know we feel it. We feel it here when we looking at his videos. We absolutely feel like Eric Henderson is going to be a guy that can absolutely move and grow. And so I think we could possibly have an advantage depending on how things are lined up. But this is a time for these guys to shine, man. Carlon Jones, I believe he's going to be a guy that's going to move and grow. So that's the defensive line. Moving on to the cornerback position, I think we got a little bit of advantage. Cornerback, safety, DB room. USC has a little bit of advantage in that capacity right there. Their PFF numbers with that one, guy named Major Burns, he's at 62.1. That's their first one. Ashton Stamps, he's at 67.7. Zay Alexander, 63.4. Then the next cornerback is Sage Ryan, 69.5. And then Jordan Gilbert, 64.4. And when you look at ours, Jalen Smith, 67.2. John Humphrey, 79.8. Jacoby Covington, 83.4. And then Keely Arnold, he's at 80.3. And I didn't even see Kamari Ramsey, he's at 79.4. So big advantage for the USC
Huge.
secondary. Yeah, yeah.
Huge.
So what you think about? So we're doing piece by piece, man, and just give it, because a lot of people, whether it's Paul Feinbaum or whoever, everybody, you got to match these things up. You can't. He's so lost in the sauce. I don't know what to say, but you
Yeah,
got to match.
I'm not gonna speak ill of nobody, but that was a it was a real
Yeah,
wild pieces.
very wild. So you got to match these things up. So what are your thoughts on the safety cornerback position as a whole compared to LSU's?
I mean, I think we're gonna be locked down. I don't, especially after what just in the coaching technique and the approach that we saw in the bowl game. Like, we were tackling, we weren't like we were doing real tackling, not none of this, soft tackling, trying to bump people out of bounds. No, dudes were running through guys' grills like they
Yeah,
should. It
absolutely.
was it's gonna be locked down,
Hey,
especially with the pieces we brought in.
yeah,
You know,
absolutely. And the thing about it, man, I tell anybody like this, I couldn't understand some of the tackling that was taking place. We learned how to tackle playing street ball. We played all day until the street lights went out, and we learned how to tackle, in the streets, literally. And so, listen, those are technique things. and things that fundamental things. And I believe these things they're driving home those things. They see what USC did. We even seen a big time improvement with the USC versus LSU. Prophet Brown, Anthony Beavers, those guys were coming in there absolutely moving and grooving, man. So we see that type of effort, at least that type of effort. I think USC is absolutely going to move and groove. Any thoughts on that, or we want to move on?
No, we're good. I mean, I think we're going to be locked down, and they don't
Absolutely.
have a proven quarterback, and I think we're going to eat. We're just going to eat.
We'll talk about their quarterback in a minute. Their quarterback is Garrett Nussmeier. He had a couple. I think he played in the SEC championship. Also, I think he played in the SEC championship. He played in the bowl game, and he kind of threw for some yards against. Big shout out to Brandon. We got a lot of people in the chat right now. I hadn't even hit those. Fight on, Brandon. So you got Garrett Nussmeier. I think he threw for quite a few yards. So
okay,
Brandon, you just coming on, man. This is just a soft review of LSU versus USC. This is part one. I'm gonna be covering this pretty much all summer, man. Periodically. So when you look at the offensive line, their offensive line against our offensive line, you have Will Campbell for LSU. He's at an 82.8. Garrett Dillinger at a 72.0. Then you have DJ Chester. They don't even have a PFF grade for him. Miles Frazier, 66.4. And then Emory Jones, he's going to be at a 73.9, his PFF grade. Now, moving on to our offensive line, Elijah Page. He was a freshman last year, so we're going to give him the benefit of the doubt. He's at a 60.0 PFF grade. Then Emmanuel Pregnon was at a 65.2. Jonah Monheim being our highest, he's at a 75.9 PFF grade. And then you have Alani Noah. He doesn't have one on there as well. Then Mason Murphy's at a 56.9. Your initial thoughts when you talk about those PFF numbers, LSU with a slight edge. They got two guys with a 70 over 72, and then one guy with the 82. USC just has one guy with the 75 PFF grade.
Well, I mean, to their credit, I think it's pretty consensus around, all college football analysis is that LSU has one of the better offensive lines in the country.
Yeah.
And that's salute to them for creating that. I know we had some issues last season. It just didn't seem like guys were in place. Caleb had to play a lot of backyard ball, running back and forth more so than he really should have had to. I think this year it'll be a lot more. I think part of this is going to be cohesion. We threw a lot of new pieces in there last year with Emmanuel Pregnon, Alani Noah, not Elijah.
Elijah Page? Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, those were two true freshmen, trying to gel with those guys. And we lost Dedich. And then Gino got hurt early in the season. So, right. I mean, we had some things that worked against us. I think Gino's back, right?
Yeah, he should be. He should be back.
Should be good.
Yeah, he should be back. No, I totally.
We'll get Michael Banuelos back.
Absolutely. Hopefully in the fall he comes back. He'll make it back, and he'll try to get in there, play a little bit of center spot. But I totally agree with you. I think just because our guys were so young, I think from year one to year two, I think we're going to see a big jump in the offensive line with those guys. And even Emmanuel Pregnon, second year in Hence's offensive line.
He's a monster.
That dude looks like he's crazy. He looks like a just incredible.
Like the Hulk.
Yeah, like literally like the Hulk. And so I think we're going to see a huge jump with Emmanuel Pregnon the second year. And so, can they handle LSU's defensive line? We'll see. But I like what I saw. For whatever reason, everything looked different. The whole year, it looked just not right. But for whatever reason, in the Holiday Bowl, things just seemed to look right. Now, to Miller's credit, Miller got rid of the ball extremely fast, and he wasn't holding the ball. We talked about this. I'm not going to get into the whole, we talked about this on the channel. I'm not going to get into the whole, Caleb having the ball, because Caleb did a lot of things. He was able to scramble around. He was able to move and groove. But then there were some times when he did that, it was kind of holding the ball. It was putting a lot of pressure on the offensive line when you have to hold it for 1,000, 2, 1,000, 3, 1,000, 4, 1,005. I mean, that just puts a lot of pressure. Whereas we saw a guy like Miller, and this is no knock on Caleb. You guys know Caleb is one of the best quarterbacks to ever play at USC. But when you're able to get rid of that ball in less than a couple of seconds, Miller identified and was able to, get his reads and throw that ball down the field. It puts less pressure on the offensive line. What's your thoughts on that aspect of it?
Well, I mean, when you, like you said, Caleb, I mean, in my opinion, he's one of the greatest quarterbacks I've ever gotten to see play. And it was such a blessing to get to see him play in person. But he had a scramble. It seemed like the protection was collapsing every other play. And you look at Miller. Miller was able to release the ball quickly and precisely. But then you look at the couple of times that the defense did get penetration, and Miller got hit. He stayed poised and he still delivered a precision strike even while getting hit. And I think that's going to pay big dividends as we go into this next season, man.
No doubt.
Miller's a stud.
Absolutely. So I totally agree. So when you look at the next position, we're going to kind of evaluate linebackers. Both teams really have limited linebackers that they got to evaluate. I mean, so we got two, they have two. And theirs is Harold Perkins, 71.1, and then Greg Penn at 67.3. And then we got Easton Mascarenas Arnold, 63, and then Mason Cobb with the 49.3. What's your initial thoughts when you think? And look, let me say this real quick, because I know people hear that 49 grade and think of Mason Cobb, but I will say this. The year prior, before Mason Cobb even came, what he did in the Big 12, I saw his film. I saw how he played. I saw how he moved and grew. I think it was more so of a scheme thing. It was all across the board. Guys that normally know how to play football just seemed like, everything was just, I don't know. It just didn't seem right. So I think we'll see something different. But your initial thoughts on the linebacker comparison?
Well, what was the first linebacker for LSU you said?
You had Harold Perkins, and
he's like their best
like
one,
their
right?
best guy, yeah. He's like at a 71.1, and then Greg Penn at a 67.3.
I'm pretty sure that's one of their stronger positions on the defense.
Yeah.
With those two, I think we're going to be a lot better. The scheme last year, just between Mason Cobb, it had Mason Cobb out of place, and then you had Tackett Curtis just flying around everywhere because he was out of place and he was a true freshman. We missed so many tackles, and I do know Mason Cobb was hurt for some of the year. So that's not, it's not completely fair, to say, he was this or he was that. The scheme didn't do them it didn't make their job any easier. But then you saw when, I like him a lot. His dad's always commenting good stuff online. He's been at USC for a while. Rajon Davis. Yeah. But you saw when Rajon came in, and you saw when Shane Lee was playing solid, like we were making tackles.
Right.
They weren't running up weren't running up the middle for big chunk plays like they were. We saw that in the Holiday Bowl. It was just so much better. And I think Matt Entz he's a phenomenal coach, and I know people are like, oh, he comes from the FCS level, whatever. You win 2 or 3, back-to-back national titles at that level, man, come on. The proof is there. You got the body work.
Yeah, he has it, and I think he's gonna absolutely show and teach technique. And I think over most of all, what the scheme is going to do, there's so many different disguises with the Deanton Lynn defense. This is why I think that Caleb, he was confused at times. And we've seen even Miller Moss and Jaden Maiava when in the spring game. I think that defense causes major confusion. I don't think they're number 10 in the country, UCLA, just to be number 10 in the country. I think it was the way the scheme was. This is an NFL-style, Baltimore Raven style defense. And the coverage disguise, we see what the Carlos Nicholson did. We see what the young Williams did, Marcellus Williams.
Williams.
Yeah, yes. Yeah. And as well as the other young quarterback as well. We saw what he did. And so Malik Crawford. So I think this is a defense, a scheme that presents major problems. And I think it's going to help the linebackers. It's going to help the defensive tackles. And we don't play an edge guy anymore because they're both called defensive end, 2 defensive ends. So I guess it's like a 4-man front. What is it, 4-2? So it's going to be straight up go time, man. Anything else you want to say on that?
No, I'm just looking forward to seeing what Matt Entz and what Deanton Lynn can draw up for that group.
Yeah,
Just be in position to make solid tackles. It would have helped out so much.
yeah,
And with them playing a 4-2, like
yeah.
again, I was watching highlights, and it's like, why are we playing a 3-3 when they got like six guys on the offensive line? Like,
It
there's
made no
just
sense.
what how the numbers. It's a numbers game, and that just didn't work.
Yeah, yeah. It made absolutely no sense. And so when we look at the last position, I want to cover real quick. That is the quarterback position. And you talked about Garrett Nussmeier. Well, his actual grade was a 84.0, according to PFF last year. And so he was good. However, Miller Moss, 90.7. And that's just that one game. That just shows you if USC could get that same production out of Miller Moss the same way, and I believe he will, the fact that a guy could be sitting on the sideline for all this time, for the whole year, last year, this year, and to come in and light it up like this. I mean, it's like he could not wait to get on the field. It's like he just been dreaming of the moment. And did you hear the other day, Miller Moss, the question was asked about Miller
Oh
Moss.
man,
Did you hear him the other day, the interview? You know what he said? He said, the question was asked, and I want to get your thoughts out there. I ask you this. The question was asked, what was your greatest disappointment? I think that's what he said. What was your greatest disappointment? Miller Moss said, just not being able to come in during the Utah game. He said, yes, Caleb is Caleb. He said he was hurt. He said, but me, the way I was feeling, he said the coaches, the way it made me feel, the coaches didn't have enough trust in him. He said that was my lowest moment, essentially. That was where he was. But he said, if I was the coach, I would pick Caleb too, because Caleb was the Heisman Trophy winner. So he kind of said that. So what are your thoughts on that? He wasn't knocking Caleb by no means. So if I didn't project that right, Miller he wasn't doing that. What are your thoughts on that, though?
I'm a huge Miller Moss fan. Even early in the season, I was just happy to see, even though it was, quote unquote garbage time, we had the game in hand. He was going in there, he was balling. He wasn't making dumb mistakes. I think at one point, he even had more rushing touchdowns than Caleb did. And that I wish he would have been able to come into the Pac-12 championship against Utah. And I get it. Caleb is Caleb, and he's Superman. But I can understand and I can relate with how Miller felt, especially I was in the military. There was a time when I should have been in charge and handling things, and
Yeah,
my boss
that's
didn't
right.
think my boss didn't have the trust in me that I should have provided him with, you
Right.
know. But I still wanted it, and it was like, dang man, like I should have been ready. I should have had my superiors convinced that I could handle this. So
Yeah.
like I get it, man. That it's a bad feeling, but you look at Miller, like the dude's a leader through and through. He signed under Clay Helton, sorry. He stayed there when Jackson Dart started. He stayed there when Caleb came there, knowing full well, yeah, like I'm probably not gonna start over Caleb. And he worked hard. He took care of his education. A lot of people don't know. I think Miller's got like two master's degrees. He's like,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think he's like a Rhodes Scholar,
Yeah.
and
Super smart. Super smart.
super smart. And he just kept
Yeah.
focused until it
Yeah.
was his time to shine.
Absolutely. And his poise, and you look at him when he has these interviews, it's like he's humble. And I think he has what it takes to really shout out to Blackie Chan. He has what it takes to really do the interviews. Matter of fact, he was picked to go to the Pac-12 championship. Him and who was it? Was it Kamari Ramsey? I think it might have been Kamari Ramsey and Miller Moss, but he will be going representing. I think last year Caleb Williams and Mason Cobb did it. But
Oh, media day
media. What did I say? The Pac-12. Yeah,
championship. Yeah,
no,
that's cool.
the Big Ten Media Day. Yeah, the Big
Yeah,
Ten Media Day. It's going to be Miller Moss, and I want to say it's Kamari Ramsey. So I think
and Jonah Monheim, I believe.
Mahan. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
And so those are going to be the guys. But look, he's already taken a leadership role, and when you look at him, all areas that he conduct, the way he conducts his business, man, I really, really, he's a Trojan through and through. And a lot of people know you working through adversity, man. I believe it's going to bring out the best. He's going to come out as pure gold, like the Bible say. When you go through the trials and the fire, I believe that Miller Moss is going to absolutely just be on fire this year. And if he can get that ball out the way he got it out, the same way it against Louisville, I think USC is going to be absolutely. It might be. They're saying it's a 6-point game right now, but I believe, hey, if we could come out firing all cylinders, man. Even though Louisville scored first, once USC got going, it was almost like the shock and awe, to them, man. And as a result, USC was able to just really kind of run away with it, man. So your thoughts on that before we close up? I said I didn't want to go longer than 30 minutes, but we was able to make it 30, a little over 30. But what are your thoughts, though?
Well, Louisville was not used to being scored on like that. I think they had the number 15 total defense in the country.
Yes, they did.
They held Florida State to 13, which I get it. They were, a little hampered with injuries, but Florida State only scored 13. Right. They held they had like 3 or 4 picks on Notre Dame.
They beat Notre Dame. Yeah.
They weren't used to that kind of speed and that kind of precision coming at them. And I think Miller's going to do the same thing, especially with our wide receiver core. What they got, like 4th, 5th in the country, 6th, something like that.
Yeah.
It's so disrespectful.
That's okay. Like, and you think about them, they got the guy from San Jose State. They got the Auburn receiver. So Richardson as well. They got a couple of guys. Kyle Ford coming back. USC is loaded. I would argue that they're more loaded than last year. What you think?
It's that USC tax. That's what it is. It's the USC tax. Yeah, I do, because I do think we're more loaded than last year, because you think about, we got Zachariah Branch, Jacoby Lane, Mekhi Lemon, and Deuce Robinson. They're only sophomores. And they are studs. Every single one of them. Like, who's gonna really be able to stand and bang with Deuce and Jacoby?
Nobody.
You got some 6'4" defensive backs out there. I don't know where they at.
Yeah, it's gonna be hard to bang with Kyle Ford. I mean, he's a big body receiver,
with experience.
Matter of fact, before he even left, I couldn't understand why he didn't get the ball more, but that's a whole nother story. I'm not gonna get into that. Because there were some times Miller Moss has chemistry with Kyle Ford. That's one of the reasons why I believe that Kyle Ford came back. Miller had to be pulling for him, because it's major chemistry with Miller Moss. Miller connected with Kyle Ford a couple of times, not only in the spring game, but he connected with him, man.
Well, here's another thing to Miller Moss real quick. He commands that locker room.
Absolutely.
Like, everybody respects him because they know he's there for the team. He's not there, because NIL or because of what he's going to get in the NFL. Like, you don't know if he's going to the NFL. He just took care of his education, and he loves the Trojans. Like, he's there. Everybody respects that dude, and he commands that team. So that's why he has that chemistry with all those guys. Like,
absolutely,
those dudes are ready to go to war for him, because he's there for them. That's all it's about. Just a team.
I totally agree. And you heard what Jacoby Covington said. I mean, everybody makes reference to it. We're a team now. So, man, look, it was a blessing to have you on today, man.
Thank you, brother. Thank you.
We're getting this thing kicked off with the fans, man. This is going to be the Trojan Fan Forum, if you will. And, you contributed. And look, we'll have you on again. But this is it. So we're going to deal with different topics, different things throughout the season. And we're going to start conducting these type of fan forums on the weekend, man. So I definitely appreciate you coming in. Appreciate all the fans coming in. Oh yeah, no doubt. Let me say goodbye real quick, and we're gonna get out of here. So listen, that is a brief talk about LSU and USC, and USC is absolutely, we feel like they got the edge. You think I'm picking against USC? No way. I'm not picking against USC anyway.
Never.
But we feel like we have the edge. So look, I'm out of here, man. Everybody stay blessed. Appreciate everybody for tapping in from brief discussion on LSU versus USC. Until later on, listen, everybody stay blessed. This is Anthony Butler, man. You can find him on Twitter. What's your Twitter handle? He puts up some SC stuff sometimes.
Yeah. It's Not Today Fed Boy. if you see somebody post something on there and the little picture is Ice Cube back in
Boys in the
Boys in
Hood.
the Hood
Yeah.
like this with the USC logo, that's me. So
Yeah, that boy. Matter of fact, hey, Boys in the Hood was filmed on my street, man. I remember walking home from 54th Street Elementary, man, and I remember coming home and I said, and they had the camera set up, and we was like, "What's going on?" They said they filming a movie called Boys in the Hood. We was like, "Wow!" And so, of course, a few months later, I think the next year we end up seeing it coming out. So yeah, whenever I see that picture with you, it's like, okay, I identify with the house. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
man, I got inspiration from whoever somebody did that took the picture of Suge Knight when he was on stage
Yeah,
telling people to come to death row and they put the
yeah,
sideways USC hat. And I was like, man, you
yeah,
know what? I know the perfect picture, and I went with that. But I
yeah.
uh I post USC stuff all the time. Just try to not for me, just to promote the program and especially with our recruits and stuff. Try to make sure I go there and show as much love as possible. Let them know we want them a part of this program because I didn't go to USC. I grew up a USC fan. I love this program.
All of us.
I want
Yeah,
to see us ball out like we should.
absolutely. Absolutely. So, man, my brother, I appreciate you tapping in, man. So, listen, everybody, until later on, everybody stay blessed. Fight on, fight on, fight on.